How are you doing?
Richard, what's going on?
Uh,
Everything's good on my end, man. Everything's good.
yeah, stuff's pretty good with me. I made like a silly game in a game jam over the weekend. Uh, I worked on it for maybe like 16 hours total over a couple days. It's
Holy shit.
yeah, it's
It's a
kind of
long time.
very it's very like sketchy of a game, but it's like cats in a lazy river, and you have to like direct them to different areas of the lazy river so that they can like some of them want like sushi or hamburgers or to be washed, and so you have to like meet their need because at the end they like review your how good of an experience they had, and you're trying to get like 5-star rating. I don't know, I felt like the idea was pretty good, but then it's kind of just the interface of the game is like kind of complex, and there's a lot going on.
Nice. 16 hours, man. That's a long time. I'll
Yeah,
have to
the
check it
videos
out.
for you mean the videos for this you were asking? They're like they're unlisted, so they're technically public, but they're not listed anywhere. So anybody can access it if they have the link. At least the last two conversations we had, I published those as like unlisted, and then the other ones are still private for me and you.
Oh, might as well just open them all up. Make them
Yeah, I
all
was kind of gonna
public.
do
Full
it.
public. Even fucking hashtag it random, man. Just might as well put it out there.
Yeah,
Max
eventually they'll
exposure.
all be public. I think I'll do like one at a sort of like one thing at a time. Maybe the last two episodes we have, I'll just make those public now, and then uh provided no one finds it and goes insane, then the rest will be also great.
Yeah, we don't say anything bad. It's good. So anything on the go with you outside of, your 16-hour project?
Yeah, luckily I didn't add any music to it or anything. I just decided that it's done, so I sort of ended that, which is nice. And I don't know. I guess maybe the next thing I'll work on is I would like to make it like, have you ever played like a very satisfying like 2-dimensional shooter? Like I'm kind of against making like shooting games, but I think I'll make one where like you shoot like targets or something in like 2D. And I've played some shooters where like you're using like WASD like on the keyboard, and you have your mouse, and like it's very snappy. Like, the guns have a cool effect. There's like screen shake. You can sort of like aim and get off shots, and it feels very fast paced. And you can almost do like room clearing. Like the levels can have like walls and stuff that you're like kind of spinning around. And there's one game actually where you can like throw your weapon, grab a new weapon. You can like tackle people and stuff in like, it's like a top down like overhead game. It's called like Hotline Miami, and it's obviously like it's like top notch game. I would make just like a super simplified version with like reduced mechanics where mostly it would just be like maybe a snappy, like, when you click, that's when you sort of see like this rifle shoot. And I feel like and then maybe just set up like targets or some kind of like room clearing thing. But I would have it be like you can just visit a website, and that's it. Like you just visit a website and you're immediately like in the game. So if you only want to just like have the experience of like a sharp, crisp like shooting, just like, for 5 minutes or so, you can just like visit this website, whatever device you're on, and then sort of have that experience, shoot some targets, and then drop out. And the idea is like there'd be like no load time, no ads, no money, like no installation necessary. Just, if you're looking for like precise like experience, then you just go there. And so I'd like to experiment with making something like that.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Get her done.
Yeah, especially if I could get in like a procedural thing where you could be like moving through, like as if you're looking top down, and you just see like the tops of walls in this overhead perspective. But if you were sort of like clearing rooms, maybe I don't know, maybe you could throw like a flashbang or something, and sort of like just get into this groove of like, the as you move through the screen, like maybe everything is scrolling like down as you walk upwards, and you could see like the walls would always be like a different shape, but like meeting certain criteria, and you could sort of get into this pattern of like maybe crashing a door or something. And I feel like it could be kind of cool just with some very simple things.
I'm having a hard time
Yeah.
like visualizing it, but if you do it, show me.
Yeah, maybe I'll show a video of like Hotline Miami.
There's an idea.
Yeah,
Are
'cause
you
that game,
are you on
I guess that
RuneScape?
game has awesome music too. RuneScape, I'm not in it right now. I have it. I'll just boot it up.
All right. Cool, man. So yeah, last time we talked last Tuesday, a lot has happened.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Thursday, I had actually no, it was when did I? Yeah, it was Thursday. So Thursday afternoon, I signed up for this workshop that was facilitated by Dean. Never can say his last name, Groziali or something. He
Oh yeah.
works with Tony Robbins. So he's basically teaching people how to set up their own online courses and coaching businesses. So like he has like a 3-step process that ended up being more than 3 steps when I actually was there. So I'm not sure why he said it was 3 steps, but all good stuff. I mean, I watched them, Dean and Tony, do this for Matthew McConaughey with the Art of Living event. So, like, it's a proven system. It works, and it works real well. And so, I signed up for it, checked it out, and I got to the end. I'm sitting in a coffee shop, hanging out with a bunch of kids from university who are all stressed out. And I don't know if there's an assignment or midterm or what, but you could just like, if you're there, you can feel the stress. Like they're typing away, they look anxious, they're all uptight, and you got me just chugging away at this London fog, eating my vegan cookies as I'm watching Dean just give her. And at the end of it, I was motivated. I was curious enough because he offered one-on-one coaching, and use the scarcity technique, all the psychology. He has all the tools. He knows exactly what he's doing. And so, I'm like, special opportunity. There's a filter, so not everybody can get it. I like that. So, I give my pitch. I answer the questions and say what I want to do. And it's like, you actually meet the criteria of what we're looking for. You have vision. And so, pick your date. So I picked Saturday morning. So Saturday morning rolled around. Oh, actually, during the course in the chat, people were like, "I got told that I don't have enough vision, and I was told to sign up for a $400 a year premium or subscription." So like people were getting shut down, which I thought was hilarious. But anyway, so Saturday rolls around, and I have all these
I would say
ideas.
I just want to interject that you never can be sure though. Those could be like paid actors that are like trying to make it seem like some people get shot down as like part of the gimmick. So it is a bit.
Oh,
It could be like very. You never know who to trust in those like situations. Uh, yeah,
that's a good point.
maybe it was
That's a good
real.
point. And then that
Yeah.
would
So
happen,
what happened
and then
Saturday? Then?
but then you got like the team trying to troubleshoot it and stuff. So they're like, try again. Maybe there was an issue or something. But yeah, they might have been paid actors. That's a good point. They got a whole team there, so I don't see why not. So yeah,
Yeah, I think
Saturday
it's a
rolls.
fairly big business. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. So Saturday rolls around, and they're like, make sure you show up. This is our people's time. It's their time is valuable. Like, make sure you're committed. Don't waste their like lots of follow up emails. I'm like, man, this is a thorough program. Lots of reminders. I mean, like I couldn't forget if I wanted to. So anyway, before this, I'm thinking of all these ideas of like courses I can create. I'm like, well, I can teach people how to compose piano, following the steps that I followed, and or I could teach people about boundaries. But there's a book on that which already has exercises and stuff. But I mean, like an online course. And then I was thinking maybe I could teach people about. There was another one there. What was it? Oh, minimalism and organizing. Well, that seems to be pretty. That market there's a market, but there's already a lot of people out there doing that, like the minimalist guys, Mary Kondo, the home edit. So I mean, like, these are all things that have added value to my life, but that's already trampled ground. So then I was thinking about what I learned about hormones in food and lifestyle, and I'm just like, maybe I can teach people about that, because it's not well known. Everybody I talk to seems to be interested in what I have to say about hormones and how it's all connected, like sleep, diet, exercise, stress, community, like, being social with others, and what happens when you pull away. When you pull away and you're withdrawn, like, you're stressed out because of that. And, what happens to the body when you're going through a stress response, when you have too much cortisol, like, what is happening in our system? What is happening when we eat bad food, or what's happening when we eat good food? These are things that people don't know. And there's so much information out there. There's a lot of truth. There's a lot of misinformation out there too. I mean, I got people telling me that ketosis is a great state to be in, and I'm like, it's not a great state to be in. I don't want to, like, explain to you why and what's happening in your system when you're in ketosis, but it's not ideal. And then they argue, the people up north, the indigenous up north, all they have is a meat and fat diet, saturated fat and red meat diet, so they're good. So why can't we do it? Well, they've been doing that for a very long time. And I haven't looked at the case study or anything like that to be able to, make a good point. I haven't seen the hormones looked at to see what happens when they consume just meat, like pure carnivore. I'm going to look at some studies. I mean, I want to know the full answer. So far, what I've gathered, doctors are telling me being in the state of ketosis is not good for you. So there's a lot of information out there is what I'm trying to get at. A lot of misinformation. And just like, people just don't know what's healthy for them. I remember you were fucking running like 5K a day to work and then 5K back. But then I think you were telling me your diet was shit and you're eating a whole bunch of junk food and garbage.
Yeah, I've never had like I guess what could be considered like a balanced, like, good diet. I guess I eat like enough, like, variety, maybe not like enough like vegetables and stuff, but I think in terms of like raw calories and carbohydrates and stuff, like, I eat a lot of bread and stuff if I'm doing long running, and I think that gives me like the fuel I need. And I don't know. I kind of would expect, like, I probably have like not ideal, like, I eat enough like sugar and stuff that probably it affects me, but I don't experience the symptoms because of like the amount of like working out that I do. So I think if I stopped working out, I would need to like improve my diet to compensate. But for now, I still just do running whenever something goes wrong.
Yeah, there's that, but then there's also, I'm also wondering how your performance would have been if you actually ate balanced meals, the proper protein content with the carbohydrates. Because carbo loading, I hear, is, it's great and it's good, but then it actually causes crashes unless you keep it going, like a hot fire. But then it's like, well, what about a balanced snack while you're doing like a very light calorie balanced snack that has all the macronutrients while you're doing your run? So like this whole carbo loading thing, I keep hearing that's a thing. I heard it back in university, and I thought it was beyond my, like, it was going over my head. But then again, doctors are saying, like, actual studies done, like, showing carbo loading versus athletes that have balanced meals prior. Overall, the athletes that have balanced meals and balanced snacks perform better than the ones that carbo load. And it's just like, oh. And then, the doctor that I was reading, like, it was getting information from the doctor I was getting information from was saying like, yeah, study was done, and then like, here's the hormones. This is what's happening. This is why the pure carbohydrate, the carb loading, is causing issues and causing crashes. So again, like, everybody thinks carb loading is good and necessary for big races. I just talked to a buddy at work who does triathlons. He believed it too. He's like, yeah, man, like I do that. I also have like electrolytes when I run. I mean, you need electrolytes. That's straight up like legit. But he's like, I do the carbohydrate thing, and yeah, I find that I am crashing. I'm hitting these blocks as I'm going, and I have to push through these blocks or get another dose of carbohydrates to help me get through it. I'm like, yeah, it's because you're crashing every time. And I recommended protein with his intake, with the carbohydrate intake. Whether or not he's done it, I don't know. I haven't followed up, but it just seems to be a lot of information out there that I don't think takes the hormones into consideration.
I guess sometimes it's hard to measure, like, because I guess with like carbo loading, one might not see like a really significant difference. Like if they tried it, they don't try it. Depends like what the weather's like how they feel. That might have like a greater impact, and so they can't really tell like what effect is carbo loading versus not having. I don't know. I've never like specifically looked into like what carbo loading is. I guess it's just like eating a lot of carbohydrates like the day before. But I don't know if
like does and fucking all
yeah,
that
I feel
shit.
like for me, it's like I feel like other stuff, like just how I feel overall or something, would dictate like my performance more than like any single thing that I did. So then it's almost like it's hard to say if anything that one does like is the thing that made them feel a certain way, and had they done another thing like it, because if they try the other thing next time, it may or may not work, even if it is like quote unquote like better. But there are some things like yeah, you mentioned like electrolytes. That's a thing that like definitely if you do like intense activity for long enough,
you need
like
them. Yeah,
like you'll just immediately like your legs will just like cramp and lock, and then if you take them, like that will heal you like within like like 30 minutes or an hour sometimes. And so then there's like a really hard amount of feedback for like those things. But in terms of
totally.
like in terms of other things though, it's just like, I mean, I guess we could be like damaging our body slightly by doing exercise without the right nutrients, and then over a period of like 20 or 30 years, we would have like our kidney be less healthy, or something like that. But like, how would we ever know unless we had like a team like monitoring all our levels? How would we really know if what we're doing, like what we're eating, is supporting or not these things, that unless it like shows up in a way that like blocks our progress or takes like a few minutes off our time. If it's like things that are that significant, we can realize. But a lot of these things are like just how we feel or something, and they can be like, it's very hard to pin down like these things that like, because when they say like athletes perform better, it could be like less than like 20-second difference in times, but they proved that it was like a real difference. But then in that case, it's like who really cares about like 20 seconds other than like the elite level? And then, but I guess everybody should care about like long-term health, but it's so hard to figure out if our short-term diet is like what effect it's having on long-term health, other than just what our blood tests show, that might.
Well, I can tell you.
Happens,
Yeah, man. So like, every time we eat a meal, if we don't eat a balanced meal, the proper amount of nutrients, so let's say if we have a high carbohydrate meal, every time we have too much sugar, too much carbohydrates, the more insulin we have to secrete, the more rapid we age. So the hormone insulin is like the aging hormone. And it's because it's a storage hormone, and it drives nutrients into the cells. And when the cells have more nutrients, more energy, they, well, what's the correct word here? Duplicate, reproduce. They divide, reproduce more rapidly. And every time a cell divides, the DNA divides. It's all part of the process. At the end of the DNA strands, so DNA is in every single one of our cells. It's our blueprint, as you know. At the end of every DNA strand are called telomeres. They're sort of like this, like, bunch of jargon. Imagine if you had a bunch of code, and you had just a bunch of comments, or you had a bunch of random code that doesn't do anything at the end of your subroutine. It's not actually like used, but it's there. Now, I mean, it's not necessary in the program, but
Yeah, I've heard of something like that.
Yeah, what the telomeres do is just it's at the end and it protects the DNA. So every time the DNA divides, the telomeres get a little bit smaller. It's basically programmed death. So when there's no more telomeres, cells don't divide. The DNA doesn't divide properly. Leads to mutation, errors, things like that. So it's programmed death, as I said. So the more rapid your cells divide, the faster the telomeres deplete. So, and this is proven in science that if you want to live a longer life, you reduce the amount of calories that you consume. So you have a calorie restricted diet. So every meal that you have, if it's not a balanced meal and you're requiring more insulin than you normally would need, that's aging you more rapidly than you should be every single time you have that shitty meal. And then if you have more calories each day than you need, then you are also aging more rapidly. So, yeah, every meal impacts our longevity and the length of our life. And I had
guess that's a
no idea.
hard thing. Like that's a tough thing to grasp, right? Like, like that the
And
thing
barely
we're
anybody knows
doing
that.
now. But it's tough it's tough for a human mind to like understand like lengths of time like that, where it's like, like we're sort of sitting here facing like, should we eat this like salad or this unhealthy thing, and thinking about like this choice will affect like us like 40 or 50 years from now, and it'll affect like whether we live an extra 10 years or an extra like 5 years. And like I feel like it's very hard to like sell someone on that, like that they should be making decisions today that will come into play like 30 years down the road. I feel like the human mind is very bad at like feeling a sense of urgency or purpose when
Sure.
when tackling that kind of stuff.
And that's one piece to it. That's not like gonna change people's minds completely. There's other parts to it. So like you can still have not so good food for you, but you have to balance it. So the macronutrients, they all got to be there and they have to be balanced every meal. And that's why like people that just say go pure carnivore, I'm kind of like, your body needs carbohydrates. It's going to make them if you don't consume them. Like that's the source of food for your brain. Like it's, there's no getting around it. So
Yeah, I read a short book that was basically making that point, that like meals should not like every single meal, but like throughout a day you should get a certain amount of stuff per day or per every few days. Like you just want like a variety of mixture.
every meal.
Yeah, and it basically
Yeah.
was saying sort of like, yeah, any diet where you're cutting something out, you have to get those things some other way, and if you don't, then like you're kind of at a deficit. Like you need and it sort of listed, like it was like 10 or so things that like protein, etc., like stuff like that we need. And
essential amino acids, there's fatty acids, essential fatty acids we need for hormone production. Like omega-3 we're often short, and so even if we consume salmon, Like I've read that I need to have fish oil capsules. We all need it. We don't get enough in our diet, and that affects hormone production as well. My knowledge is a little bit faded on it. I have to dive back into the more technical stuff before I can explain it. But back to the meal thing, there, like, as long as every meal is balanced, we can have some crap with the meal, but it has to be balanced, the macronutrients that we have. And that's going to prevent any sort of like spiking to our glucagon and insulin access, which regulates our blood sugar for our brain. Because our brain will not accept, like, too much blood sugar is toxic and too low will starve our brain. So, like, our system is in place to maintain optimal blood sugar, no fail. And so, like, the fail safe is the release of cortisol. Cortisol then acts as like it will help balance out the excess to get the sugar where it needs to be. And you know what cortisol does to the system as a stress hormone, right?
Yeah.
So every time we don't have a properly balanced meal, or we have a high carbohydrate meal, it feels good in the moment. We get that nice, dose of energy, but then we get a crash afterwards, which can also lead to mood issues as well and depression. So there's that piece, but then also there's the release of cortisol, stress to our system, which impacts. So because cortisol is a fail-safe hormone, stress hormone, it is the priority when it comes to synthesis. So it takes away, the production of cortisol takes away precursors that are important for other hormones, or the secondary messengers of other hormones, like testosterone and growth hormone. So you're super stressed, well, your testosterone is going to drop because it's not the priority cortisol is in order to maintain your system. So, and testosterone is responsible for libido for everybody, men, women, and whatever people want to call themselves. Like testosterone, even for females, for women who identify as women, that gives them libido, like straight up. So stress impacts sex drive. And if you eat poorly, high carbohydrate meals, not only are you shortening your lifespan, you're producing cortisol, you're reducing your sex drive. Also, when you get insulin resistance as a result of cellular miscommunication because secondary messengers aren't being produced and there's too much insulin in your blood, well, then you get fat storage and a lot of it. And then eventually leads to disease. When your pancreas stops working, which is then diabetes, which is a sign of people who have diabetes, there's case studies, and like they're followed, and they age so rapidly, it's not cool. More so if they don't regulate their blood sugar. But when they have the disease, they have the disease. Like they have to be more mindful from that point forward. I mean, diabetes type 2 is completely preventable with diet. If they only understood how the foods they were eating were impacting their hormones, they could have completely prevented type 2 diabetes. Okay.
That must be genetic. Like it can't. I guess it couldn't be like in every case.
Type 1. Type 1 is you born with it. You don't produce insulin, and type 2 is preventable. Genes will always be a factor. However, if your design is intended and your hormones are doing their thing correctly, and you're eating as you're supposed to, and have a healthy lifestyle, why would you get diabetes if everything's the way it's supposed to be?
Well, I guess there could be like a category of people where like their system malfunctions in some way. It produces
just because of genes.
Yeah, like genetics making them like like sort of inhibiting their ability to produce whatever, and then like even if their eating habits are like decent, they're like more prone to their system like falling behind, or maybe their like system sort of stops after a while or something.
But I can guarantee you they'd be worse off if they were having a shitty diet, shitty lifestyle versus if they had the good one. It seems like the genes kind of design your fate, but your
Yeah, it's like
lifestyle.
you can like mitigate it. People can like sort
Yeah,
of influence, mitigate
exactly. Your lifestyle
what it would
choices
be. Yeah.
can also impact your fate as well. So I guess that's what I'm getting at. I mean, and this knowledge isn't out there, man, and it's so important. And it's
It's hard. I
important.
think it's hard because basically, like saying that there are no rules is hard to like market. Like everybody has like a fancy diet where you have to do a special thing and they have this secret that they're going to sell you, and like that's what gets like sort of consumerized. But then if you're just saying like essentially you can eat like a little bit of everything and in mitigation and don't do the obvious bad things like binge eat any one thing, it's hard to like sell that to people as like fancy knowledge or like play it up. It's just such a like it's like it is like the common sense thing that people don't know.
Right?
But to
Isn't it
try to
funny?
to try to make it like they don't get excited by it, I guess, where because they're looking for like the one quick trick that will drop like 10 pounds in a week, But
But
if you're
this
just
is
like
it.
yeah, if you're but I mean it's like if you sort of tell them like it's not even healthy to drop, that in a week and you should drop like 1 pound, every week and just do a sustainable lifestyle change rather than like this one cleanse or whatever, that they can like sell you in a tabloid or something.
All
It's
garbage. Yeah.
I feel like the real truth is just like people just need to sort of like do the hard work a little bit and just plan. And I guess I don't do it either, but like I'm I'm sort of glad so far that I haven't fallen into any of the like with the weird like trends or something like that. I don't eat well, but I don't do any crazy thing. I just kind of like eat whatever's available.
Like when it comes to weight loss, there is no quick, safe solution. I mean, I did learn about like something called hydroxycut, and you take it and it increases your weight loss. I think it actually like damages your heart or increases your heart rate and shit like that. But
Yeah, and I think plus as soon as you stop taking it, if you don't change your habits, then the weight comes back.
yeah,
As far as I know, yeah. So it's
it,
like not a
it,
permanent.
weight loss is all linked to hormones and what you stuff in your face. Like it's that simple. And I think if we educate people, so like there's this, and it actually there is an easy thing for people, and that's just basic. It's not even the food guide. Food guide is like it changes and influenced by people with money, corporations with money. I think the current food guide isn't too bad in Canada. I mean, it's really close, but you don't need to have. It's like you need to have. It says you need to have grains or um,
Oh yeah,
breads,
like the
or
like tons
whatever
of
else.
water, tons of
Like
water.
the water's definitely bang on with the water, but like the the grains and those type of carbs, the high glycemic carbs, they're part of the plate portion, and you don't need them. You can have low glycemic carbs, fruits, vegetables only, and be fine. Really, when you look at the high glycemic carbohydrates, those should be considered treats and like few and far between. And if you do want to actually gain weight and eventually get down to a six pack, like I'm investigating carb cycling, and I'm gonna actually do it. So like you have low carb days, multiple days, and then you can have a day where you have a bit more carbs, you have high glycemic carbs. The thing is that like people want to eat their cake, just straight up want to eat their cake. They don't want to cut that shit out. I get it, and that's what it has to be, something that's a treat once in a blue moon. Also, too, when it's a treat, in my mind, you enjoy it more. It's like when you have a Coke. You have Coke every day. It's mundane. But like if you just have a Coke once in a blue moon, when you have that, it's a blast to the face. I mean, like, fuck. Sugar rush. It's unreal. I used to have Coke and sugary drinks often, and and that's the thing too. It's like I all throughout my life I never really realized what was going on. And like I can give different examples. One is like, so when I was growing up, my grandmother would give me balanced meals. Didn't realize at the time they were balanced. I don't even think she knew. Now there was lots of rice, so high glycemic, but lots of protein as well. The thing is, she would give me adult portions, but that all balances out because I was an active kid. What killed me and caused the weight gain was at lunchtime. I would run home to watch Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z. I mean, I was an active kid, but for lunch it was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, white bread. And I think food, if it is a love language, was my grandmother's love language. And she would offer me a second one. And I'd be like, I'm full, I'm good. But, she insists because that's her way of showing love and also boundary issues. So she wouldn't take no for an answer. And I had to eat the second peanut butter jelly sandwich in order to have a cookie. And I want my fucking cookie, right? I love cookies. So I would have all that. And you just imagine the amount of sugar is in all that shit. I must have been insulin resistant as a kid, man, because I got mega obese despite being super active. She didn't realize it. I didn't realize it. I mean, that's not common knowledge. If I didn't have those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or if I just had one, I would have been okay. But then I also had the sugar cereal in the fucking morning. And everybody has the sugar cereals because it's easy. But there are better alternatives out there, right? Like low income, it's not an excuse. You can make cheap, healthy breakfasts to a low income. You can.
It would be nice if society would present us those options, like cheap,
right?
healthy food. Like it should be easier to buy the healthy stuff than it is the ready to go stuff. Like a cereal's like a convenience thing, but it shouldn't. They should make a solution that they should make cereal harder to buy and afford, and then make the healthy options the things that are presented and that we all just happen to do without thinking about it, rather than
in a dream society.
It's always the people at the bottom that are getting negative health effects. It's always we always have to do more work to protect ourselves from corporations that spend tons on marketing trying to get us to eat this stuff.
I think they just straight up try to keep us ignorant because we get sick from what we eat. Big food gets us sick because of what we eat. We don't know better. And then, big pharma steps in and we take a bunch of medications for our symptoms, never addressing the underlying cause, which is lifestyle. But, a big chunk of what influences our hormones is our diet. Now, lifestyle altogether, I mean, the things that we do, we sleep, how much we sleep, how much we exercise, all that stuff impacts our hormones too and our well-being. Food is the biggest chunk, out of that. So I think they deliberately keep us ignorant. This should be in schools. And they talk about the ideal portion size. That's or not the portion size, but the food guide has it. It doesn't explain why it's important, just that you need to have it. So people don't understand that by consuming lots of sugary type foods, what it's doing to their system. They don't get that piece. So the food guide is there, but it's not actually delivering the message. The truth is hiding in plain sight. And so coming back full circle to what happened Saturday, instead of me going for these other easy pitches where all the work's already been done, or I mean the piano composing thing too, I could have pulled from existing material and then put in my own truth, my own experiences. I want with creating a course that teaches people about hormones and how our hormones affect our lifestyle and how our lifestyle affects our hormones and how it's all linked. And that was the initial pitch. And the guy that I got, he said that, man, this is serendipitous because I'm a nutritionist, chiropractor as well. And I got to tell you, man, I'm embarrassed on how little I know about hormones. They barely taught me anything. And he's like, what you're saying actually makes so much sense. You really actually are on something. And this guy wasn't just blowing smoke up my ass in order to get me, into the program. He was like straight up like, holy shit, you're on to something. Like, this is huge. This can be massive. So anyway, we talked about it, and this was just like my initial idea. And it's like $12,000 for the coaching one-on-one. Basically, I'm going to be able to use all their tools to create a course, to market. They have that three-step system. They're going to basically teach me it inside and out. So, I committed to it in the end. Hold on, I got this cat yelling at me in the game here. It's demanding attention.
Yeah, my client actually, it's like I'm on Linux and I can't get old school RuneScape to boot today. I need to figure out, I think I need to update something. But the game, I can't launch. Yeah, I would strongly caution you against giving these people any amount of money, and perhaps like you've already locked into some kind of deal, but like I would sort of recommend like backing out and doing some searching online, because I'm fairly certain that like $12,000 is kind of like scam territory where like as I guess we sort of like talked about this in a previous episode where like the whole Matthew McConaughey in collaboration with these two other people spent like a lot of money on marketing and like funneling people into this event. And the event itself, like it was like a free event, but it was like co-opted as like a sales funnel. And like a sales funnel is like a known thing where like it's the way that you pitch your sort of sales funnel to a bunch of people and get them to like funnel through to the place where they sell you the course. And then like it does kind of appear that like, a tactic to get someone in is like, tell us your idea, and then they would make it look like other people are getting rejected, so then it creates like the person who gets accepted feels like, oh, maybe I am special or important, or like the idea I had was good, and they try to like create that impression. So then you think like, oh, maybe I do have something here, and then they make it look like they really want to help you and they really believe in you, and all you have to do to like, I mean, if they're really excited about this idea and they really want it out there, they could kind of do it for free. Like they could just help you out of the kindness of their heart or do some profit sharing. But when they want a lot of money, like enough money to start a small business easily on your own, enough money to market on your own. You could buy a lot of Facebook ads with $12,000. And the fact that they want that like right away before they've sort of given you anything. And then I'm sure that's not like the last time they would ask for money also. Like probably like once you go through the first part, they're going to say like there's a premium diamond course that like they've seen your work and they want to offer you this $30,000 like course or something. Like I'm sure they'll try at least once to like pass like an idea like that. And it is kind of scary because like, I mean, I have the benefit of like being on the outside of all this, so I can sort of like no one's been like bombarding me with emails or anything or trying to like market to me. So I feel like I'm outside the system and I sort of can speak with like ignorance, but it does, like from my perspective, it kind of appears unfortunate that like, because I mean, what you had been saying a couple times ago was like that you were sort of like wanted to like live within your means and cut back on the expenditures and just go like backpacking, and do YouTube videos, and then all of a sudden this like Matthew McConaughey ad landed, and then you got in a sales funnel, and then like, I mean, there's a chance that all of this will work out and that maybe you'll get something that you're looking for out of it. Like you might develop this course and then at least hopefully you'd have that course that you've built to like sort of use in the future. But it may be like a side sort of an unnecessary expense of like 12,000 to sort of like do a thing that you can find pretty easily. Like a lot of places on the internet will say like, this is the business, is charging people this amount of money, and they don't, and people will say like they don't, I mean, they might feel like once you spend that 12,000 and you don't get the return immediately, then you're sort of on the hook for like, well, now I'm invested, and and then they start saying like, well, pay us a little bit more, and maybe it'll pay off next time, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm sure you can find people on the internet that are like their whole life savings are now gone because they were chasing this, like because they sort of got, and then they're too like once you drop 12,000 and you cross that line, you start to be embarrassed to admit the mistake. Like if it does turn out to be a scam and it falls through, then you sort of start wanting to believe that these people are telling the truth and that like they can help you, because it's very hard to admit that like you got scammed and you dropped this amount of money. It's very hard to pull out after they've sort of done this thing where like if you admit that you were wrong and they duped you, then you have to admit that like you almost got like just kind of like robbed or something.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. Yeah, it's like unfortunate.
All good points.
Yeah.
Mastermind.
Yeah, I would say,
Mastermind is established and has proven to work. I mean, I got funneled in by Mastermind, the Matthew McConaughey, whatever. How do you say his name? Matthew McConaughey?
I guess McConaughey.
McConaughey, yeah. So I mean, like they work. Like it actually, their 3-step model actually works. And like there's also the accountability piece. So, you know, you check up every week. They coach you through what the next steps could be, like how to get stuff out there. I mean, so you're learning from people that know how to get the courses out there because they do it. So I hear all your points, and I am reluctant sometimes. The reason why I pull out is because has to be because I believe that I can push this this dream that I have. I found my purpose, man. Like I have to believe that I can do this on my own and find a cheaper way. Because I'm all about saving costs and learning things for myself. But at the same time, I believe in learning from people that know. So this might be a good offer for me. But then, you know, the reluctance outside, because like this is an investment for something that could be huge. And if I don't try, then I never get it off the ground and I might have regrets. But if I do try and it falls through and it's a complete failure, for me, I'm not going to be the type to be like, oh, I got scammed, or I'm too embarrassed to admit I got scammed. It's more like I tried. And that's what matters to me, is that like I push through the uncertainty and the fear in order to try to pursue something that's important to me. So
yeah, I like that. I like the sound of that. I feel that you could get that by doing it yourself, and I feel like aligning like this idea of trying your hardest and pushing. I feel like that's something that you alone can do, and the course is kind of like a separate thing that may or may not pay off. But I would separate those two things. I would say like it's not necessary to pay 12 grand to take the course in order to like sort of prove something to yourself about like your ambition. I feel like you're capable of like taking on that burden yourself and like pushing yourself and making your own business, like spending your own money on yourself to market, to promote, and to like get it out there. And then it's just like a separate choice is like whether you want to like whether you believe, if they have like a powerful tool that they state they have that would make it easier, I guess, to get your business off the ground, then that's it's kind of a separate choice. But it would be nice. It would be good to keep in mind like a limit. Like if you do decide that whatever they're selling you is worth 12,000, I would sort of like write down on a piece of paper or something like the amount of money that you're willing to spend, like to give to them, because if you give them 12,000, I'm sure that's not like the last time they'll ask for money.
That'd be it. Yeah, that'd be it.
Yeah, so that's a very important like if you're certain right now that like you're giving them 12,000 and they're going to give you this course and that's the end of the transaction, then I feel like it's very important to remember that, because like 100%, as soon as this course, like maybe before this course ends, or when this course ends, they're going to come back to you. There's going to be another bombardment of emails. And I think it's important to remember, like, it's a never ending, you know, they'll drain you of finances basically. But I guess, like, you know, $12,000 one time is not going to destroy you, even if it doesn't pan out. But I think the danger is every time you give them your time, they have another opportunity to like take more. And I think that's the danger. But like doing anything once is not going to crush you. It sort of feels like it, you know, if it doesn't work out, it would be better to like avoid the whole thing. But if there's, you know, if you feel like, you know, if they've convinced you, then that's like, for better or for worse, I guess you sort of, that money is maybe gone, like, unless you can save it. But yeah, I think like that's when I would get scared, is like if sometime in the future we're talking and you're paying like more than 12,000 additional time to them, then it would sort of be like, this is clearly like then it's like someone professional has to like step in and like save you from this like cultish thing or something.
So what I was hoping for, and I actually should have shut it down when I realized the initial cost. What I was actually hoping for was, you know, they liked the idea so much that they're invested in it. So they're like, okay, we're going to help you create a story, your story. We're going to follow this 3-step model. First step is like create an irresistible offer. And that's by like having a story, having something that people need, like this truth that I'm going to share with people. So like they'll help me create the story. They'll help me get it out there. I get to use all their technology. They record me, interview me, whatever. They put it out there on their system to get the word out. But like it's like coaching, but also hand holding, where they're facilitating the process. This is what I had in my mind when I signed up, actually. And that's what I felt it would be, considering I thought they were going to be like picky. Like they're filtering out people without vision, because I thought they were actually interested in guiding people to success. I was like, not just coaching, but actually like you using their resources and them helping to create the parts of your business, because they're invested. And the deal would be they get 30% or 40% or 20% or something, right? Depending on how much work they put in. Kind of like what they did for Matthew, right? They staged it all. They created the funnel. They did it all. As for like the creation of the course, they say that Matthew did it. I wonder, did Matthew build the course, or did they work with him to build the course? Because I mean, like that looks like a team effort to me. Like just the initial like looks at the course there, if they were trying to sell, and they were trying to sell hard. That being made by one person, I don't think so. That looks like a group project to me, man. It's huge. So I was hoping for something like that, where like they would help facilitate, not just coach.
Yeah, because that as well, if they did offer you a deal where like they're gonna help you for free and they're gonna get 30% of whatever money you make off your course, that would be more like your interests are aligned with them. Like they're gonna help you because they believe in you and you both want success, and both of you don't get paid until the product is successful, which would be like, you know, that's like two people partnering and agreeing as like peers. But like the 12K up front sounds more like, as soon as you write that check, the interests are not aligned anymore. Like they've sort of made their money, and then their interest is like, can they get more money from you? And if one of the ways they can convince you of that is like helping you a little bit to like build a course, ultimately to then ask for more money, that's sort of like misaligned, like sort of a red flag, like that their interests might not be 100% like caring about your success if they don't have like a financial interest. And I worry a bit that like the reason, like whatever happened with Matthew McConaughey and that collaboration with them, that may have just been like Matthew McConaughey has a large audience already on Instagram, and they wanted to
Yeah, they went to
basically,
him.
like,
Yeah, they called
yeah,
him.
like and I think the reason why they might have even like paid Matthew McConaughey for his time is that like they just want to pitch their course, like they want to pitch their product to his audience,
That's
and
exactly
then
what it is. Yeah,
yeah,
you
and I
nailed it,
think like
Richard.
the way they're making money is by just collecting those 12K for like a product that you don't get to see until after you've paid, and then hopefully you get something from it, but I can't imagine that like there'll be, a million amazing courses on the line. That's too many, like only like, if anything, 1% of these people will succeed, but probably could have done it like on their own or something like that. But like meanwhile, like this organization walks away with a whole lot of money up front and then goes on to continue to pitch.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's very challenging. Like I have no idea what it's like to be like in this pipeline, in the system where they're sort of like trying to brainwash you or something. So I feel like your position is incredibly hard, where like you've read the sales copy, like they've talked with you, that really puts your head in a totally different mind state, and it becomes like you have the tough job of like breaking out of that system, which a lot of people can't do. But like for
I
me,
can.
it's yeah. I mean that would be excellent if you can get out of this, or
I got an idea.
get out of it with just like get out of it with minor scrapes and bruises, then
None.
and then
So
just be better, like smarter for it or something. That's the success
this is
thing
what I'll
in
do.
my eyes.
This is what I'll do, Richard. This whole thing has been an incredible exercise. Me pushing through fear, and I'm building courage, and courage is like a muscle to be trained. And the more we have courage, the more we train that muscle. I'm doing bunny ears here. The stronger it gets, the less hard it is to use it. And I'm showing courage, and I keep showing up and keep signing up for these workshops and these events. Like I said, I signed up for that Burning Man too, to create
That
new
sounds cool.
experiences.
That Burning Man thing, I'm on board with that, because that does seem like an authentic experience. The Burning Man
Oh
thing.
yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah,
real
I
good.
think that's the good thing. Yeah.
But I was even afraid to sign up for that, man. I almost pulled out of it. Like that's how far in the comfort zone I was. But like everything seems to be connected. One thing led to the other. The Burning Man led to the Art of Living, which led to the Dean Workshop, which led to it forced me to come up with 4 different pitches, narrowed it down to the hormones, and then this became my focus. And then when I pitched it, I actually was passionate about it. And when I told my story about how my life was impacted because of the obesity and the bullying as a result of me being overweight, which could have all been prevented if my grandmother knew about what it was she was feeding me, what it was doing to my system. And I don't want other people to go through that shit, man. I mean, there's more than just weight gain. There's disease too. And eating poorly actually is linked to depression. And when you binge eat, I mean, I've been there. It leads to feelings of worthlessness and like you don't have control of your life. It's a fucking horrible place to be, man. And like I'm telling my story to this guy, complete stranger, and I'm crying because that's how passionate I am about it. And it's through this experience that I realized, I think I'm meant for something greater than what I'm doing. I felt this for a very long time, that I'm meant for something greater, and it's why I feel so hollow in the military. And then now I know what it is. So now I know my path outside the military. I'm going to go to school for endocrinology, going to like master that field, go for a PhD in the area that I think can bring the greatest good to people. And it was because I did that exercise and I signed up for that one-on-one coaching that really brought things into focus. And since that meeting on Saturday, I mean, I have been giving like these presentations, like rehearsing these I don't know, seminars or like TED Talks, just random, just go. And I mean, I'm talking for 30 minutes to an hour describing my life, and I'm connecting the dots of like all these times where shit, this is how I was impacted by hormones and poor lifestyle choices. And then this is where it went right. Like, for instance, my foster family. Like, I went into their care. I was an obese kid, never active, no social skills, no self-esteem. And my foster family created a healthy lifestyle for me, the Mediterranean lifestyle, which turned on a light bulb. And I'll get to that in a second. But like well-balanced meals, I remember what it was she was feeding me. She made me go outside all the time. Couldn't play video games as often, which I hated, but I really wanted to play Legend of Dragoon. But she kept making me go outside, so I was active. And then I was social, too, because I was going outside all the time. And the sleep discipline was there. Like, we had to be in our rooms for a certain time, so lots of good sleep. She gave me a healthy lifestyle. She showed me what that was, and man, I shred the weight. I was the skinniest I ever was. I got pictures of me, and like I just like, holy shit, I was mega lean. And then that carried on all the way through high school. I was like lean and healthy and good. And then when I joined the military, and after the trauma and stress, you know how the military is, it's like it just piss poor lifestyle. Everything fell apart. One component of the healthy lifestyle after another. The sleep, the lack of exercise. Like eventually I stopped exercising in second year. And then everything just fell apart. My resilience went down and I gained tons of weight, and I fell back into these patterns, binge eating and everything else. And I realized that, you know, if I had an understanding of hormones and what was going on in my system, I could have prevented all of this. And you know why I think that way? It's because now that I have this knowledge, Richard, I know when I'm off the wagon, and I know exactly what I need to do to get myself back on it. So there's no like this sense of hopelessness or like loss of control. I know why I binge eat. I know what triggers it. And it's not just psychological. It's what's going on in my system. And when I don't have sleep discipline and I feel lethargic and low energy the next day, and I don't want to do my workouts, and I feel antisocial, and you know, I pull away from people. Pulling away from people actually has a stressful effect as well. It's ridiculous. It's all interconnected. And once I realize now that I'm doing this stuff, I figure out, okay, what's missing from the healthy lifestyle? Oh yeah, sleep discipline. I'm staying up too late playing video games, or you know, watching Netflix. I'm gonna go to bed at 9 o'clock, get up at 5, get back into the routine. It just fixes everything. And you know, if I knew this growing up, life would have been a little bit simpler, I think. And so like I'm rehearsing this shit, like practicing for a TED Talk, man. Like half an hour here, an hour there, and I'm connecting all of these dots. And I'm realizing that it's all connected. And then the blue zone comes to mind, because remember I said the Mediterranean diet? Still there, Richard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember I said like the Mediterranean diet, like that's what my foster parents, that's what we had. Blue zone. People who live the longest. Why do they live the longest? Well,
You said lack of carbohydrates or something.
no, it's lifestyle. It's actually lifestyle. So
Overall, it's got to be lifestyle. Like everything
it's
has to be
lifestyle,
lifestyle.
right? So like I'm thinking about my fucking what's my course going to be like? I'm trying to like shape the modules in my head. I'm in the shower, like just trying to figure it out. And then so I'm like, okay, module on sleep and all the hormones involved with sleep, and like our day night cycle, serotonin and melatonin. And I'm gonna look at diet, which is huge. I'm gonna look at all the systems there and like the balanced meals and nutrition and things like that. Like I'm gonna look at exercise and then how diet is linked to exercise and what happens if we overtrain, what happens if we train properly, like high intensity interval training or training our legs. Like why is it that when we train our legs it produces more testosterone growth hormone? I'm gonna look at all that shit. And then some other things came on. I'm like, oh yeah, community, family. And then I thought about evolution, right? We form families because it keeps us together. It's in our programming. When we're ostracized or we come outside our group, we become stressed. And also, there's this sort of spiritual meditation aspect for us to clear our mind and reduce stress. Oh yes, stress in general caused by work, outside influences, relationships. And I'm like, okay, boundaries are super important too for work, for relationships. So I'm like looking at this, like all these different modules. And then like, was it this morning? No, last night, I'm like thinking about the blue zone. I'm like, hey, has there been any research on this? And I Google it. And there's a doctor that has done all this research and he looks at, living long life, like living a long life, following 8 strategies or 9 strategies that he has done extensive research on in the blue zones. And I look at the strategies, I'm like, holy shit, these are the modules that I just came up with for my fucking course. And it's connected. And so I messaged this guy directly. I went to his team because apparently he's huge and influencing 5 million people already, like across the United States. I messaged his team. And the only reason why I did that is because I'm getting more bold. And I read this book called The 4 Hour Work Week, and it's like, don't be afraid to reach these high end people. Just fucking find their email and do it, and ask them a question. And so like I told them what my whole thing was, like what I'm looking at. I said, I haven't read your book. I got this super expensive coaching thing coming up on Thursday. Does your research look at hormones? And then I get back the response like right away, like that's the same day today. Basically, holy shit, what a wonderful comment, what a wonderful note to review. This has potential to go places. And no, we have not looked at hormones, but if you read our work, it's going to augment your work greatly. And it's like, holy shit. I found a gap, Richard. And I tell you, man, like this whole process, even if I didn't pay a single penny, technically, I can get out of this by this Saturday. But this whole thing, it just connected all these dots to create a purpose for me. And this drive and this confidence that comes from having purpose, I've never felt this before. Like I feel like I'm unstoppable, bro.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, hopefully you can use that to empower yourself directly
Yes.
and not because I think there's a lot of people out there that are looking to like steal some of that and like you make use of you as a tool for their purposes. But if if you have that drive and you maintain like doing things that you want to do for you, like that benefit you, that that if you want to help other people, like then building yourself up, I think is the safest way to go, so that nobody else is like co-opting your message or using you or something.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Even if, like, I was thinking this as I was sending the message to the doctor. Even if he's like, "Holy fuck, I never looked at that. Now I'm going to look at it. Or I'm going to partner up with a doctor to look at it." That to me is creating change, positive change, and that would actually serve my purpose. Even if he would take it and profit off of it, because for me, it's not about making money. And when I made my pitch to that guy, I said it's not about making money. He's like, oh, well, a whole bunch of people say it is about making money. Like they do this for the car. They do. I'm like, he's like, the fact that you said that, it's not about the money. It's about, helping people. Like, I really believe that it's true. I guess what sold me on the coaching was this guy that I talked to. It was like the perfect match, absolutely perfect. Like he fully understood what it was I was saying. He was a wonderful active listener and reflected greatly, and the things that he had to say were authentic. So I really think he believes in this, which is good for the company because it almost made me a customer. I will pull out though, and there's a reason for it. I still think I can value from it, but like the timing, like it's done its purpose for now. But when I medically release from the military, I'm going to get $80,000 for school, so I can pursue a master's, which I can then maybe get a grant for a PhD. But I also have like $36,000 in courses that I can take, and so my plan would be then to use the $12,000 for that course because it is linked to creating a business, and then I'm also going to take courses in like sleep therapy, nutrition. I already got something in nutrition, but take all the courses in all the components of the lifestyle course that I'm going to build using the most recent material that's out there. So I think it's just an issue of timing, and I think I can put this off for about a year or two, get the reimbursement so it's not coming out of pocket. So I think that would be a wiser decision.
Yeah,
But
then I guess giving it time is good because like even if it doesn't directly cost you money, if you can get it like accredited, it still is like giving, like it's supporting like an organization that maybe shouldn't exist, like this, they're trying to like sort of rip people off or something, and it's good. Like if it doesn't affect you, that's one good thing, but then also it's good if you can figure out what's really going on and maybe avoid like giving them money that they would then use to like refine their business, like their sort of scammy business or something.
I believe that Dean and Tony are authentic when they say that they actually genuinely want to help people build up their businesses,
But I
because
mean,
they're the pioneers in the field.
It's hard to separate though because like they are super rich, like millionaires.
And that's why they're doing it because they enjoy it. They do it because they actually want to help people. I
But
mean, I
what's the
actually believe it.
12K though? Like they could. I mean, it surely doesn't cost them 12K to like of like they're not spending most of that. They're like making profit at that.
It's 30 times like 36 sessions, and then access to all their resources, their marketing, their course like GUI, so you can like use their tool online to build the course, which would probably be like state of the art, high tech, and like good looking, like so actual good graphics for the course. So it's all that stuff. And if it's as good as I think it is, I mean, if it's like the art of living, the road trip course for Matthew, I mean, that is some high quality. That's a high quality product, bro. Like it's real good, and I'd be willing to pay $12,000 just for that. For that course framework.
I guess the problem is like you got to pay it in advance. Like I feel like I'd want like a free trial, proof of concept. Like I want to see the product first, because if they're asking for the money first, then it doesn't seem like there'd be any reason they have to provide me with like a good tool.
Yeah, I asked for a payment plan because they said most people, especially with the economy the way it is right now, don't have 12,000 sitting around. Like, so it's like I don't want to go into debt. And
but also like 12,000 is like you could pay someone who is talented to do like custom graphic design for you. That's like a couple months like salary of like basically anyone you want. You could just pay them to like exclusively build all your slide decks.
Straight up. Yeah. I can do all that. I mean, that's not a hard part. So like I'm gonna build the content. I don't want to do slide decks. Like I want like interactive, like a real course, like
motion graphics and nice like YouTube like bumper, intro, outro would be nice.
So like good shit. So you're right. I could contract that out totally, and that's what
I think that would be a much better product. Like, because there's no tool in existence that will just generate like amazing stuff for you that's custom. Like,
there's AI out there that will like write you an essay apparently.
Yeah, I guess
straight up
that well,
write you an essay.
that's definitely not this though. That's like
No, no.
some stuff that's coming down. Yeah, like maybe some company will start offering that within the next year, hopefully, or something, and that'd be cool.
Well, if I could ask an AI to write me like a master's paper on hormones and lifestyle, it actually does it. Oh, buddy,
It'll do
I
it,
would.
but there'll be like hidden things that are wrong that
Yeah,
are
yeah,
inside
yeah.
that you'll never know.
Well, I would. Yeah, I would check all the research or all the references to make sure it's legit. And even with the resources I've come across, sometimes like I have just a good enough foundation in biochem, biology, chemistry, like all of it, to realize like when something doesn't make sense. So like there was a straight up whole like paragraph in this book that I read by this doctor that was wrong, straight up wrong. Like
Right.
I folded the page. I mean, like in case I ever give this book to somebody, I'm like this is incorrect information. So and that's why I want to pursue this like academically and master the what that common knowledge on endocrinology that everybody in that field has. Kind of like what's his face? All the physicists seem to have the same common knowledge about the cosmos. Like how old the universe is, how old the Earth is, things like that. Like they all seem to know that the same shit. The theories about the black hole and
I guess
singularity.
they've all read like this. There's like many papers that have been
Yeah,
cited and reviewed, and they've all read the body of work.
Carl
Uh,
Sagan stuff, pretty much.
yeah,
Like
like the most.
he's the dude. Was the dude, the late
Yeah,
Carl
Carl
Sagan.
Sagan is a good example of like a science communicator. I feel like Carl Sagan had a lot of knowledge, but he also like delivered it in a friendly way that like the average person could understand. I feel like
Hmm.
that's a job that's actually in demand that people really need today is someone who understands the science that can communicate it in a language that the general public understands.
That's
And
what I
that
want to do.
exists for this. Yeah, I mean like if you can get like the real fact-based, figure out what the consensus is of nutritional science and then wrap that up in a nice easy to understand like short YouTube video or a book or something
No,
that the average person
documentary, Netflix, done. So like how they have our body or our universe, our planet. I'm gonna come up with like our hormones, like the harbingers of our health or something. Like I gotta figure out some cool. I want to use the word harbinger somewhere in there. Oh,
Maybe
fuck, I
not.
love that word. Uh, but like straight up
Make it an
documentary.
anime.
Yeah, right. But like every episode is a module, like a course, like the course. So build a course first, and then it becomes a Netflix documentary or just a documentary that's out there. And every episode is like, yeah, it covers what it is that I'm gonna build, and they can be narrated by someone with a sexy voice. I mean, apparently I have a calming voice, but get Morgan Freeman in there, I'll be good to go.
Or the AI version of his voice.
Well, they got the AI that can do that too. Like I could straight up build a course with a avatar and an AI voice, and just that they just read the content, and that's like this avatar talking to. I'm gonna do that for my courses because like there's this world-renowned life coach that was doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. Like I'm gonna teach you how to coach, and I'm gonna basically make it seamless for you and set you up with advertising and all that shit. And it's an expensive program, but he has credibility, and his reason for doing it is because he just wants to spend more time with his family. He wants an automated income. Everybody wants automated income. It's like everybody's read the 4 Hour Work Week. Straight up, everyone wants automated income so that they can actually be truly rich. The new rich is apparently you have mobility. So you're not anchored down to a job and you have free time. With that, though, you need an automated income stream. So it seems like everybody wants that.
Yeah, I like that idea, but I don't see a lot of examples of like people who are truly happy like in that state. Like people who do have an automated income who are just like I guess, there's a lot of people like bragging about it on social media, but I guess we just wouldn't hear like if there was someone actually like with a small automated income that's just living peacefully, they wouldn't really be in the news or we'd never hear about them. But I wonder like it would be nice to like reach out to those people. Like, are there people that are just like content with life who don't feel the need to like post their awesome life on Instagram that are making like a small amount of money that's enough to live on and they're just living within their means and like having like feeling happy during the day. I feel
Oh,
like there's a shortage.
I'm
I
sure
feel
they're
like
all flexing.
I don't meet a lot. Like just like I wonder like where are those people? You know, like you don't meet them. You don't really. No one I know is like that. It seems like
I'll be like that.
everybody ends up going one way or the other. Like either being like unfulfilled or super rich or still chasing forever or
Yeah. Well,
something.
I'll be like that. I'll be like that in that I'm not gonna be super rich, but I'm gonna reduce my expenses to the point of where it's ridiculous. Not need a lot of income, and then that will free me up, and I'll have just enough to be able to do the things that I want to do. Of course, after going to school and pursuing the field that I want and putting that work in, and
Going to school is fun too. Like there's a lot of passionate people at schools, at institutions. It's
mm-hmm.
fun to be around like people who are talented or learning, have like a future ahead of them. It's very inspiring just to be like hanging out, attending different clubs at a university.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, man. Lots of stuff to look forward to. I would very much like to just so like say if I actually get sponsored for the PhD that I want, and I can take as long as I need. I mean, I could just go backpacking for a week and invite random strangers from all throughout the world because I'll be on Vancouver Island. This is another business idea. So I'm going to host people and
Or
meet
during like
people.
if you're at a university, that's a good way to get like invite fellow students, tell the student like
Genius.
go on
Totally.
exchange program. If you went on exchange program for 1 year and you talked about it, then you'd have all these friends from like another country that would come to visit you. Hopefully, like maybe.
Yeah, but like just going to school and saying like let's go backpacking for 5 days. But
Yeah, there's definitely most universities have like a backpacking club that will do outings, but you could always start
then
like a
I would
branch of that.
be
Yeah, just get involved with that or
then I'd
start
be
your own.
involved with it, and eventually I can run it. But yeah, like the idea would be is like be able to host people throughout the world. So like I'm doing you can come too if you want, Richard. It's happening in July 1st until the 16th. Well, actually just the first week. So far, I mean, I've opened it up to a few people. Right now, I got my buddy from Germany with his girlfriend coming. I was supposed to have Justin from the island as well to come, and this guy named Brandon, but I haven't heard back from him. But basically, it's a 5-day backpacking trip on the Wanafuka Trail. And I basically lay out the whole plan. I have the logistics already sorted out, and people pay for their plane ticket. If you want to, a little bit of money towards the rental vehicle, and then there's some other costs like backcountry registration and getting a shuttle because it's quite remote and it's quite far between the entry point and the exit. So it's just one straight line. It's not like a circle or a loop. So I mean, I have this whole thing laid out. I have an itinerary that's already built. And so like, I mean, if you want to come to this thing and bring your wife, hell, come on down, buddy. Like,
That sounds exciting. Yeah, it seems like a big commitment. Yeah, I'm interested, but I don't know if I would make it this time. But
I can send you. We could talk offline, but I mean, like, this is what I want to do, and then I want to advertise this to people. I mean, well, I meet lots of people from Germany on this trail because there's so many restrictions over there, apparently. But I mean, I want to open this up to everybody, and I can meet people throughout the world, and then maybe perhaps they could host me. So like, it just kind of like having the flexibility to be able to do that, be able to go 5-day backpacking trip whenever I want with strangers. That to me would be amazing because I could tell you 100% I am a pig in shit when I'm on the trail. I am never happier because like I meet strangers like at the beaches on the trail, and Like, I'm like, did you know about this waterfall? Did you know about this bathing spot? And then they're like, oh no, show me. And then they get so excited, right? Like, at like Sombrio Beach, everybody's like shirts off a clock, surfing. There's just everybody's totally free. You know, people doing yoga naked, whatever. Um, you know, I come across some strangers, and it's an instant icebreaker. Do you know what the Falls of Narnia? What? I'm like, follow me. I will take you to the falls. It's amazing, and they're like, oh, you know, I always wanted the backpack because there's a trailhead there. So I mean, like they can just drive down and then walk and then bring their picnic baskets and hang out for the day, and then they see backpackers. But I don't know how often they actually interface. But like if I'd start talking to them and then they're curious about backpacking, this has actually happened on my last one. I came across these two women from Vancouver, and talked to them because we were going to camp behind where they're chilling, and the one was super interested, and I was like, "Okay, let me show you my gear." Laid it all out. I mean, I have an itinerary. I sent her my itinerary. Well, I gave her my email address. She sent it to when I was online, when I got back into the zone, onto the grid. Then I sent her the itinerary. But like, I shared exactly what I was doing. So then hopefully that inspires her and her friend to do a trip down the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she's super interesting. Like some sort of like head psychologist in Vancouver. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wish I could have, built a network out of that interaction, but sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it
But
is
yeah,
fun
man,
to just meet strangers and very casual. It's nice to not have like a like if things are like a if it starts to feel like a networking event, then it's less authentic. But if it's just kind of like people meeting each other, exchanging info, maybe reconnecting like a year later or something, it's pretty fun.
okay, I don't like fudging, so they weren't completely naked doing yoga. They did have like bottoms on, but yeah, it is really cool, man. It's a really good energy. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, and then
being
the
like
other,
being
eh?
partially nude, I'm sure is like people feel more like anything that makes people feel vulnerable and like on the same team. Like if they're all like partial nude, then
On the same
I
team.
feel like uh, that's an interesting cross section of like humanity. People gathering on nude beaches.
Yeah, I've been to the nude places before, and like a dude with huge insecurities and self image issues because of the bullying and the obesity. Like, I have never felt more liberated than being naked with a bunch of strangers. The weirdest thing. Straight up having like this conversation with this dude living the life. I called him homeless at the time. He was living the ideal lifestyle. He was living in like a mobile home. It was quite nice, actually, but small, minimalist, contracting only when he wanted to, living the life. And he was intelligent too, but I labeled him as homeless because I was an asshole back then. That was like 10 years ago. And, we're straight up having a conversation about politics and religion and physics. And I was just like, they didn't even realize we were naked. But like, just the fact we were able to connect like that, like it was really cool.
Yeah, it's cool how like how deep you can go like with any stranger will have some kind of like super fascinating thing. It's too I always feel like I don't get enough like there's yeah, I feel like very restricted in terms of like venues that I have access to where I can talk to strangers. I went to a game dev meetup actually last week and I
Oh,
met
that
like
cool.
yeah, it was just like people in a room and we're all sort of connected to games like somewhere. I met like a guy who works for a game studio who's working closely with like the AI image generator Midjourney. And so he was saying like sort of the capabilities like that he's getting from it. They're trying to make like AI image generation like an actual thing that you would do like as an active thing like in a game where
Hmm.
like as you play the game there's like AI generating images that are like totally custom to like your game experience or stuff like that. And I met a guy who like worked on like the Rumble pack for like the DualShock, like the PlayStation controller. Like apparently he played a role in like the inventing of like the adding like the Rumble feature at least to the DualShock controller. But that was weird to like meet these people that felt like very embedded in the industry and like accomplished, and then like I'm just sort of like standing in this room like randomly meeting them as like strangers and thinking like, wow, these people are like incredibly like fascinating. It's like it's
Oh,
weird like
wow.
just sometimes like stumbling across people where it's like, wait, like these are the people I've been looking for, like super interesting people that are just like hanging out in this room. I don't know.
And that's really, really cool. You find yourself a nice little community there.
Yeah, game dev is such a mixture of people that are in like creative industries and that have done like they've been doing interesting things. I find everybody in game dev, none of them are rich. Like they're all like like struggling to from job to job, but they're all like the most talented people somehow.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, like I said, I'm glad you found that. It's really cool. So, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I guess we've run over our time a little bit, but
Yeah, we tend to
this was a
do
good
that. I
conversation.
like
Yeah,
just keep blabbing
yeah,
on, but yeah. I appreciate your feedback and thinking about it further with regards to that coaching thing. I think that the timing isn't right. It has been such a great exercise, and I found a path, and I think I will check it out later when I can get it get it subsidized or rather reimbursed. So I really appreciate your feedback with that, and
yeah. Good luck with it though. I feel like you might have a bit of work to do, distance it, like getting out of it still,
I
because
read the
I'd
contract.
imagine.
It's good. I'm good for the first 7 days to cancel. Just got to send an email as long as I don't use any of the services. So
I
if
would
I
expect
cancel,
like them to like when you start to say you're going to cancel, I would expect some resistance, and you'll
oh
have to
yeah,
sort of like
yeah,
be pretty confident in your like
I'll explain to them.
they might
Mhm.
give you a discount, they might say like they'll do some,
Of
and then
course,
you'll have to be like no, like 10 times in a row, be like no, I'm sure no.
yeah. No, I'm expecting that, but I'll explain to them honestly that you know I will be able to get this for a much better rate, $0, as they'll be reimbursed in about a year or two's time. So, but I am very interested in having somebody like hold my hand throughout the process and do the work for me. So it can either be them if they're willing to actually, like, I will show them like the package done and be like, do you want to like partner up like you did with Matthew to change the fucking world by teaching everybody about hormones and lifestyle to replicate results,
Yeah,
the
and
lifestyles from the
then
blue zones.
they pay you
Yeah,
12,000 for that.
that's what I'm going
Yeah.
to. That's what I'm going to pitch next time because really, with the way that they sold this, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting for them to like partner up with me. I made a pitch like I was selling a business case. Like I thought like you're going into Shark Tank and you're like I need 100,000 to get my business going. Like how much of my business do you want? Like I thought that's what it was gonna be. Like I straight up thought that's what it was. But no, but thank you so much for your 2 cents on that, and I will take action. It doesn't mean
Yeah,
yeah I'm not
thanks for sharing it with me. Yeah,
I'm
it's yeah, sorry.
I'm not running away from this. It's not I'm running away out of fear or it's too much money. There's a better timing for it, I think, and I'm gonna wait for that timing. So thanks so much for the chat, buddy, and I'll see you next week.
Yeah, I'll see you then. Yeah,
We'll
sounds
talk
good.
offline about I'll give you some details about that trip if you're interested.
Yeah, you can send it over.
Alrighty, bye, man.
All right, bye.